Hey, welcome to another edition of Take 5. We're going to finish up Leviticus 16 today, but it's very important. This is the Day of Atonement, and Jews to this day still celebrate this day. This was probably the most important day on the Hebrew calendar. So let's go to verse 20. When Aaron has finished making atonement for the most holy place, the tent of meeting, and the altar, he shall bring forward the live goat. Watch this now, verse 21. He is to lay both hands on the head of the live goat and confess over it all the wickedness and rebellion of the Israelites, all their sins, and put them on the goat's head. He shall send the goat away into the wilderness in the care of someone appointed for the task. The goat will carry on itself all their sins to a remote place, and the man shall release it in the wilderness. All right, now this is symbolic. This is of the Israelites putting their sin on the goat, and the goat goes far away, symbolic of God taking away their sins. See how that works? Verse 23, then Aaron is to go into the tent of meeting and take off the linen garments he put on before he entered the most holy place, and he is to leave them there. He shall bathe himself with water in the sanctuary area and put on his regular garments. Then he shall come out and sacrifice the burnt offering for himself and the burnt offering for the people, to make atonement for himself and for the people. He shall also burn the fat of the sin offering on the altar. The man who releases the goat as a scapegoat must wash his clothes and bathe himself with water. Afterward he may come into the camp. The bull and the goat for the sin offerings, whose blood was brought into the most holy place to make atonement, must be taken outside the camp. Their hides, flesh, and intestines are to be burned up. The man who burns them must wash his clothes and bathe himself with water. Afterward he may come into the camp. All right, so it shows you that all the sacrifices that they made for their sins, they had to burn them all up. Couldn't have any of them left. The goat they sent out into the wilderness. And this is how they dealt with sin. They had a sacrifice for it, and then they had a goat take away their sin. And it's symbolic that God took away their sin. The fact is that in reality, none of those things could ever take away their sin. Only the blood of Christ could. But it was symbolic, and they did do this once a year to be ceremonially clean so they could worship God. Otherwise, God wouldn't have even accepted their worship. Verse 29, this is to be a lasting ordinance for you. On the 10th day of the 7th month, now this is a Hebrew calendar, so it wouldn't be July 10th or anything like that. But on the 10th day of the 7th month, you must deny yourselves and not do any work, whether native born or a foreigner residing among you, because on this day atonement will be made for you to cleanse you. Then before the Lord you will be clean from all your sins. It is a day of Sabbath rest, and you must deny yourselves. It is a lasting ordinance. The priest who is anointed and ordained to succeed his father as high priest is to make atonement. He is to put on the sacred linen garments and make atonement for the most holy place, for the tent of meeting and the altar, and for the priests and all the members of the community. This is to be a lasting ordinance for you. Atonement is to be made once a year for all the sin of the Israelites, and it was done as the Lord commanded Moses. All right, this was done for year after year, and as I said, the Jews still do it. Now, when Christ came, he abolished all of this stuff, okay? So it was good until Christ came, then it was all over, obviously, because Christ paid the price and, in effect, was the scapegoat. All the sins were put on him. He carried them all away, and now we are forgiven, and we don't have to do this once a year. We don't have to do this anytime. We're continually cleansed. It's a good idea to confess your sin, but we're continually cleansed by the blood of Christ. And I think that's the best news you could ever hear. But anyway, I wanted you to see what all was involved in them for that one day a year that they had to do this, and we get continually cleansed. So I think you'll appreciate the fact that we're under Christ now and not under law. Hey, that's it for chapter 16. We'll be in chapter 17, verse 1. And I appreciate you so much. I don't think there's any other 16-year-olds in Simpsonville that are taking the time to study the Bible like this, and especially in the book of Leviticus. So you're going to be way ahead of just about anybody, including most adults, all right? But thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on the next edition of Take 5.